The mission is simple in theory. Infiltrate the Finger Bow Belt and enter the House of Spiders. We're supposed to be on a joint operation with the LCCB and the LCA teams due to sheerly how intricate this mission is. Ryoshu having past relations with the Fingers and potentially other factions does not give us any form of immunity to pass into this area. However, due to how inexperienced he is, Pilot finds himself caught out and has gotten the LCCB team exposed. Pilot is knocked unconscious and intercepted by a member of the Index who has predicted this very moment occurring by the will of the prescripts. By their will, the Index has now intercepted this mission. The LCA Vanguard team is now having to recover what little hold they have over the mission while waiting for the Limbus Company bus department to arrive. Much to our dismay, we did not know the hellscape that we would be walking into. This gathering of the Fingers was not some measly conference. The Ring have managed to obtain an observation of the mirror through the windows recreated by Asaya, of which this technology has been passed on to the nurse fathers of the House of Spiders, a faction whose sole purpose is to pull the strings of many fates to weave a fabric that ensures the longevity and prosperity of the Five Fingers. Nurse fathers being some of the highest ranking and strongest individuals of varying finger syndicates. Rioshu's background is not something Limbus Company alone could handle, being that she is a daughter of one of the members of the Spiders. The promise Limbus Company had made her, that somehow a possibility would arise to free her child from this fate of becoming someone bound to this web of endless suffering and massacre. How did this even come to be that she, of all people, joined Limbus Company? Ryoshu knows the misery and pain of becoming a servant of this upper echelon of fingers, because this is her lived experience. There is no escape. You will never be stronger than these folk. Training under different factions of the fingers could not provide enough experience to become strong enough to break this thread. A woman who's committed many sins in her lifetime, with much karma to be repaid back to her. The one good deed in her life being that of trying to provide her child with a better life than herself. In thinking the Thumb would be the easiest faction to be around, with a rather simple and rigid hierarchy structure, Ryoshu unfortunately discovered it would not be easy to raise a child in this syndicate. Children make mistakes and are not perfect beings. One slip up and it was the cost of her child's hand. Irreversibly a mistake she's made as a mother. In her heart sowed the seed of hatred and fear she would have for Leiheng. Luckily, it was just the child's hand. But her? The lesson beaten into her for her child's mistakes held a greater weight than one hand. The Index was never going to be an option. She will not soon forget the torment brought upon her by her own parents. In pursuit of trying to escape the abuse as a child, she set her own home ablaze. While this may have claimed her mother's life, her father managed to survive this excursion. Seemingly, after the accident with Thumb, the middle is also unlikely to be such an option. Punishments are too absurd, even if she has a decent relationship with the brother from the middle whom raised her. This is extremely unfit for a child. The ring was out of the question from the very inception of wondering how she could possibly break this cycle. The pinky was all that's left, but even then this wasn't going to be enough. One night, it was an odd evening. There was a woman with white hair who visited and offered her this solace, that her and her child may be freed from the web of the nurse fathers. However, this would only be such a possibility. Desperate to ensure that things could be different, be it a big gamble, she at least knows or mayhaps hopes under her father's care the child will be alive the next time she returns home. She makes an agreement with her child that they will meet again, and the next time they will walk free of this place. This will be the doorway to their future home. Back to the current day, though. Limbus Company is very much tied up with Diaz. This turn of events, while at the center, is to take the golden bow held up within the spider's nest and hopefully free Ryoshu's child from this mess, is also potentially the start of a cascade of events to remove the head from power. If the elites of the fingers will fall and the House of Spiders dismantled, this goes to show that since the head cannot stop them, and Limbus Company could, Diaz would have the strength to intervene and change the course of the city as we know it. This is essentially poking at a hornet's nest, and potentially we could deal damage to some of the factions, but there is a massive uncertainty as to whether or not something like this could be successful. Ryoshu will likely be faced with cutting down everyone she is related to, facing the history of abuse, trauma, and tyranny that has shaped her into the woman she is today. While the sinners may think she is unreasonably gruesome, we will probably come to find out this is how Ryoshu had to be to survive in the House of Spiders. Understanding that death is art and sports to the ones in power, if you paint the world red for the right folks, you will survive to see yet another day. Horikawa, one of the nurse fathers and the man whom Ryoshu's child currently serves, the one who has irreversibly ruined her life and made this never-ending servitude her eternal hell. Ryoshu has been ridiculed, bullied, tormented, and maybe even tortured, but her child has been treated somewhat decently, even though there are many underlying and uncomfortable fears buried there. Ryoshu remembers her time slipping into the corridor of the ring a while back after an auction, peering through the newly founded mirror, had been observed. There was a world where this escape was possible. She would have to work past being a one-woman operation, work past all of the traumas and betrayals she had experienced. At the center of it all, we will find that Ryoshu has to sever the threads in the House of Spiders that are woven into the bad ending of her and her child's story. Dante will manifest the next branch in the Tree of Life, Deborah's Courage. They will attempt to open a path for Ryoshu in which she can turn a new leaf, even if carnage is to follow behind them. She will unsheath the Odachi that has been encased in the entirety of this journey, her ego. The very weapon that, when she first manifested, burned down many structures, and the one which she wielded to sear her father's face. One sinner, likely Sinclair, will remind her that she doesn't have to do this alone, as this team is a family, whether or not Ryoshu sees it that way. And the flow will carry them to the ending of which is to be. This was originally supposed to be a longer analysis video that was like going over everything, and I'll be honest that between the holidays and starting this really late, my mental's not in a place where I could finish this video. The original runtime of this was like an hour and 20 minutes. So you could just have my theory, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Given that this is gonna go up like right before it's New Year's. Happy New Year. And I hope you're all doing well. Go play Canto 9. Thanks. Bye.